It's time to cook with Susan Beck, and it's the middle of July, and my garden is producing like crazy. I picked all of these cucumbers today, and oh, they look fabulous. I love to get them when they're about this size. And if you check out my back counters, I just washed some lettuce and some zucchini, some green beans. I pulled an onion too that we're going to use in today's recipe for refrigerator pickles. This is the best recipe when you start to get more cucumbers than you know what to do with, and your friends are like, I don't want any more. So I love to make refrigerator pickles because these pickles can just go into my refrigerator in a vinegar and sugar sauce that has a little salt and some celery seeds in it. And this recipe was given to me by my mentor teacher 35 years ago when I started teaching. Thank you, Dory Wallace, for this great recipe. This can go into my refrigerator. On the card, it says 2 years. Now, they're so good, they never last 2 years in my house, but I guess if I made more of them, maybe they would. I am cutting both ends off of these cucumbers, and then I will be slicing these cucumbers up, and I want to measure out 7 cups of So I'm going to slice these all in fairly uniform slices. I really prefer them no wider than 1/4 inch. A little narrower is probably my preference. It won't be a huge deal if some are a little thicker and some are a little thinner. Now I am going to cut up 7 cups of cucumbers today because that's how many amount of cucumbers I need for this amount of dressing that I'm going to put over it. If you only have a few cucumbers, just cut everything in half today. And if you have even more cucumbers than this, double it. Pretty simple math there. I will be using white vinegar today, but apple cider vinegar would be just fine with this recipe as well. I know some people who really have a preference about that. To be honest, I don't. I'm okay with pretty much any kind of vinegar. Okay, so I probably have a little closer to 8 cups because as I was finishing those last 2 I was cutting, it's adding a little more. It'll be okay. I'm really not going to worry about doubling or increasing my dressing at all. I've got a couple I'll just save for some salads. So I just tossed those into, this is an old Halloween ice cream bucket. An ice cream bucket is a great way to store these because it has a lid that snaps on well. And, you know, you won't miss this container if you do keep these in the refrigerator for a year or 2. Something else I should mention is that when I make these today, these aren't going to taste so great today. They really need to sit in the refrigerator for, well, really, I'd say 2 weeks to even a month before you actually sample them and start eating them. We'll give them a little taste today, but they will be better after they have time to kind of pickle. Now I'm going to cut up some slices of onion, nice and thin as well. Now this is completely optional. I know there are people who prefer not to have the onions in there, but to be honest, I just love the onion with it. I want more pickles than onions, but I still do miss the onions if they're not there. Okay, so those are also going to go into our ice cream bucket with our cucumbers. All right, so we have almost 8 cups of cucumbers, and I sliced up 1 medium-sized onion. Use as much or as little as you want. All right, I don't even need another dish. I'm going to use the same measuring cup here, and I'm going to put in 1 cup of white vinegar, 2 cups of white sugar, 2 teaspoons of salt. Now, I do happen to have the pickling and canning salt in the summer. I usually use that when I'm making my green beans or any kind of pickles that need a little salt in there, but regular salt will be just fine. And that teaspoon of celery seed. That just adds a nice touch as well. You could leave that out as well too if you're like, oh, I don't know if I would ever use that up, don't want to spend the money. Don't put it in. It'll be okay. But again, I think the onion and the celery seed just make these extra special. Now, we do not want to heat this. We do not want to end up with our cucumbers being a little bit cooked. So we're going to just stir this a bit and try to get that sugar to dissolve in the vinegar. I guess you check out my YouTube channel. I've also got a simple salad that you can mix up just a couple hours before supper that's very similar to this. Sometimes I throw some green pepper and onion in that as well. And then I also have a video posted that I made a couple years ago for making crisp dill pickles that you actually can, and that you actually need your canning jars and so forth for. Now, the positive part of that is that, this is going to take up a fair amount of space in my refrigerator. And if I can the pickles, then they just sit on a shelf, and those can sit for a year as well. But yeah, check out my other recipes. I will post a link below for all my recipes that use up your garden cucumbers. All right, here we go. We're just going to pour it over the top. Now, at first, it might not seem like quite enough, but that's one of the reasons we let these pickles sit in the refrigerator for a while, is because they will start to soften, and right now they're almost filling my ice cream bucket, but they'll lower down to probably only filling half of my ice cream bucket. Now, I love those celery seeds. I'm going to scrape this out really well and get all of those. Okay, there we go. We're going to snap a lid on the top of that, and into the refrigerator go these pickles. All right, but I told you we're going to taste them today, so we're going to go ahead and pull that out. And I'll go down to the bottom here where one got soaked a little bit in there. And a little cucumber with some onion. Just a little hint of sweetness from the sugar. And I really do love that celery seed. So there you have it. We have refrigerator pickles that can last in your refrigerator up to 2 years. But I guarantee you won't have them in your refrigerator for that long, because you're going to love them so much, they'll be gone in months.